Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Kengan Omega Chapter 110. Before I get into this week's review, I of course have to mention my subscriber goal for 2021, hitting 5,000 by the end of the year. So if you're already a fan of the channel and you're not subscribed, you might as well to help me reach that goal. I do think that I have been seeing sort of that weird YouTube glitch where people get unsubscribed. It seems to mostly be new subscribers that it happens to. So if you think you're subscribed but you're not sure, you should check just to make certain. The other thing is my Patreon. If you want to help support me and the channel directly or get access to some extra content, you can always become a patron. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. With that out of the way, let's get on with the review. This week's chapter is pretty good, pretty alright. Nothing too crazy. I'd say it's around an average quality Kengan chapter. For the most part, it's pretty much just the what do you want to call it, like the introduction for the fight. It's just the Kengan characters explaining Liu, a little bit of commentary from the Purgatory fighters, then you get like the very initial exchange of the fight. It's pretty alright. So we find out that pretty much the big deal with Liu is that he's got quite the temper. We'd already seen that he was fairly emotional during Nidon's fight. We would have been safe to assume that was mostly because that was his friend, and he was, getting killed and then died, so it would make sense that he would be very emotional. But apparently Liu has a bit of an issue with having a temper, and when he's really pissed off, he's not on his A game. And that's an issue because Liu is not in a great mental state right now, because, his friend Nidon just died. So that's something that he's thinking about, that other people are thinking about. And we actually get some reference to his record in Purgatory, mostly in relation to Lu Tian. So a lot of people have been a bit concerned, because when Lu Tian started his fight, they were like, oh shit, he's the strongest of the Demon Fists, or he's regarded as the strongest of the Demon Fists. And his Wu Wang Fist that he was pretending was his main fighting style was not even a factor in his fight with Kana. Like, it was nothing. It was fucking useless in that fight. So, if Liu pretending to use the Wu Wang Fist is the strongest of the Demon Fists, that does not say great things for Liu, who probably doesn't have any secret Nico-style bullshit going on. I think this chapter pretty much confirms for anyone who still had doubts that Liu is not the Tiger's Vessel. But yeah, the fact that Lu Tian's Wu Wang Fist was really not that impressive did not say great things about how strong Liu was going to be. However, in this chapter, they do address that, yeah, Liu and Lu Tian fought, and Lu Tian won, but it was through ring out, and that's because Liu was pissed off. So he wasn't on his A game. So I'm glad that Sandro at least put in some kind of effort to explaining that away, maybe sort of ease some concerns about Liu not really being anything to write home about. But I don't think that really explains away, Lu Tian with just the Wu Wang Fist apparently being stronger than Liu. Now, me personally, I think that Liu is going to be pretty strong. I think he'll probably be like an A-rank fighter. Not Purgatory, like an A-tier fighter. Not the best of the best S-tier fighters like Oma and Kanao and Kuroki. But he'll be pretty good. He'll be like Okubo level. I think Okubo is like a solid A-rank fighter. Him, Okoya, Hayami, he'll be around that level. So I'm not super concerned about that. I do think that's how this fight's going to go. And I feel the same way about Nitoku, based on the fact that he was able to push pre-Annihilation Tournament Kano to the edge. I think it's pretty safe to say that they're going to be fairly even matched, and that they're both going to be around that level by the time the fight's over. Speaking of, we do get some interactions between Nitoku and Liu in this chapter, and they're pretty good. It's mostly just Nitoku quoting a bunch of poetry and stuff, and being kind of an asshole to Liu, to be honest. Like, not doing very much to sort of ease his mental state, to the point where even Liu is saying, like, he's pissed off, he's gonna fucking kill Nitoku. Not like that, but he's like, I'll kill you too. So a lot of people have been saying, I think Liu's gonna kill Nitoku. I think that's a possibility. I'm gonna be honest. With the start of this chapter and the start of the fight, I genuinely have no idea who's going to win. I kind of think Liu is going to win. I'm leaning more towards that, but I don't think it's anything definitive, and I would not bet money on it. Because with the way this chapter ends, they're both fairly even. Liu gets a hit in on Nitoku, punches him in the side of the face, but then Nitoku grabs his arm and then delivers a pretty mean-looking uppercut. So I have a feeling for a lot of this fight, the two of them are going to be fairly even. This is probably going to be one of those fights where it's just kind of back and forth throughout the whole thing, which is not bad. I actually have some fairly decent expectations for this fight. I think it's going to be pretty good. I know a lot of people don't really think anything of it. They weren't super excited for Liu or Nitoku, but me, I think it'll be pretty good. I find that a lot of the time these fights where the characters aren't anything too crazy, but have some relatively more grounded martial arts like Sambo, and, well, you know, in real life most Chinese martial arts are bullshit, but, you know, you got like movie kung fu, pretty much. I think it'll be pretty good. Now, we do have some mention of the worm in this chapter. I don't think out loud by anyone, but Liu is aware of the worm. Faye explained everything to him, and he's aware of it now. He knows that the worm are this secretive group that's seemingly infiltrated the tournament. So now it's something that he knows about. And I'm wondering if Nitoku, potentially, you know, quote-unquote Nitoku, is going to be a worm member. Because he's one of the only people that I can imagine being a worm infiltrator on the Kengan team. Some people think it may be Oma, and that Oma's not the real Oma. I don't know how possible that is, because it seems like at least someone has been keeping eyes on him ever since the Annihilation tournament ended, so I'm not sure how likely I find that to be, unless someone secretly brainwashed him or something, I don't know. But we'll have to find out, because if Nitoku is a member of the worm, I do find it fairly plausible that Liu will kill him, but we'll have to see. Maybe Liu will overcome his temper, and he'll remember Purgatory rules, and he'll make sure that Team Purgatory gets another win, that they win the tournament, and that Naidan didn't die for nothing, even though Naidan wasn't killing himself for the tournament. But yeah, so Naidan doesn't die for anything. So yeah, once again, overall, pretty alright chapter. I do think this fight is going to be pretty good by the time we get done with it. Probably among the better fights in the tournament, but we'll just have to see what happens. So, if you enjoyed this review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega chapter reviews every week. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen, Record of Ragnarok, Black Clover, and Kaiju number 8, I do videos in those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. If you enjoy discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to some of my wonderful patrons, and the recipients of the shout out today will be Archbear, CJ2K, Fuse, Neo, and Tyree Simmons. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at the end of videos or access to some extra content, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.